Daughter of a cleaner unexpectedly saves a millionaire's contract with a heartwarming call. Dark clouds rolled in over the bustling suburban town, an angry sky reflecting the tension in Marisol's heart. Whispers of how the approaching storm could devastate her mother's small cleaning business echoed in her mind. She could see it in her mother's tired eyes as Maria polished one last countertop, dreaming of stability for her family. Marisol, just 17, felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, a fierce determination burning within. This wasn't just about cleaning services. It was their lives at stake. A loud crack of thunder rumbled in the distance, sending a shiver down her spine. Looking out the window, she witnessed the first drops of rain cascading like tears against the glass. She had always balanced school, part-time jobs, and her dreams of a brighter future, but this storm threatened everything they had built. The streets flooded quickly, the water rising like the anxiety within her. Businesses around them were already shutting down, and her mother's contract with a popular local diner hung precariously at the edge of disaster. Marisol clenched her fists, feeling her heart race. It was time to act. With the winds gusting fiercely, she thought of the former neighbor, David, the millionaire developer who had long since moved away. Once familiar with the struggles of their neighborhood, he now seemed a world apart. Desperation surged through her veins. If anyone could help save her mother's business, it was him. She took a deep breath, picked up the phone, and dialed his number, her heart beating like a drum. "Hello." His voice came through with an air of skepticism that stung. "Mr. David? This is Marisol." "I who?" "Look, I don't have time for please," she interrupted, her voice trembling with urgency. "I know we haven't spoken in years, but my mom's cleaning business is in trouble. The storm is bad, and we need your help." Silence fell heavy over the line, and she could almost hear the gears turning in his head. She could feel the distance between them, as thick as the storm clouds outside. But then, she laid bare her heart about the struggles of her mother, their community fighting to keep afloat, and the shared dreams of every hardworking family. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As he absorbed her words, an understanding flickered in the air like lightning. Marisol could sense the change in his tone, a moment of recognition dawning. She was not just a cleaner's daughter. She was a voice of hope amidst despair. She poured out every ounce of her passion and spirit, fighting through her insecurities, refusing to let the storm drown her dreams. Just when it seemed like they might find common ground, the rain began to ease. As the wind howled its last desperate cries, the flicker of hope ignited in her heart. Would he see her worth? Would he reach back across the chasm separating them? The rumble of thunder had quieted to a whisper, leaving a promise of change hanging in the air, a promise that their stories might intertwine. Marisol's future balanced precariously on a thread, and all she could do was wait and wonder what would happen next. Marisol held her breath. The phone felt like a lifeline, the silence on the other end stretching painfully. She squeezed her eyes shut, summoning every ounce of courage. Finally, she heard David speak again, his voice softer now. "Marisol, I didn't know you were in such a situation." Relief flooded through her, filling the emptiness of those tense moments. "Thank you for listening. My mom doesn't deserve this. She works so hard. Please, if there's anything we can do, let us be honest," he cut in. "This diner contract means more than just cleaning. It's a lifeline for your family, isn't it? A lot rides on it." Marisol felt the world shrink to the two of them, their hopes merging, hearts beating in sync. "Yes, it does. It's everything. You helped us before, remember? When you lived here, you cared about this community. We need that now." David sighed deeply. "Community changes. I'm not sure how much I can do," but her heart raced at the butt. "Maybe I can reach out to the diner's owner," he continued. "But you'll need something in return. I need your help. I'm working on a new project nearby, and I could use some local insights." She stammered, uncertain. "What kind of project?" "I can't share details yet, but it's a chance to bring jobs to this area, to revive things. If we work together, I think it could be beneficial for both of us. Marisol's mind raced. It sounded like a lot to take on, yet hope surged inside her. I can do that. We can work on this together. All right. Then, David agreed, an edge of enthusiasm creeping into his voice. Let us set up a meeting. Thank you, David, she breathed, tears pricking her eyes. You might not realize how much this means. It's time to do what's right, Marisol. I'll get in touch with the diner later today. His tone shifted again, becoming distant. But in return, I need your trust. This will require hard work from both sides. Marisol nodded, though he couldn't see it. You have it. I will do whatever it takes. They agreed on a time to meet, and as she hung up the phone, the clouds outside began to part. A sliver of sunlight broke through, illuminating her room, chasing away the shadows. She could almost breathe easier. Yet, doubt hung at the edges of her mind. Would she be enough? Would he keep his promise? Her mother called from the living room, breaking her thoughts. Marisol, is everything okay? Yes, Mom. Everything is going to be okay. She didn't want to let fear tarnish her newfound hope. Good, Maria replied with a weary but hopeful smile, though Marisol could still see the worry dancing in her mother's eyes. I trust you. Marisol's heart swelled. There was so much at stake, but with David's support, maybe they had a fighting chance. But as she turned back to her phone to prepare for their meeting, a nagging feeling settled in her gut. What if this was just a short reprieve? And what if the storm wasn't done with them yet? With determination, she decided to strategize. But as she opened her notes and began typing plans, another rush of doubt crept in. Was she really ready for the challenges ahead? Questions swirled as she prepared herself for what lay ahead, not just for her mother's business, but for her family, her community. The rain may have stopped, but the storm inside her heart was just beginning. What could she face when the past reemerged, bringing forgotten worries and unresolved questions along for the ride? When David's call ended, Marisol felt a strange mix of excitement and dread. She gazed out the window, watching birds cut through the sky, free and unburdened. It was hard for her to imagine feeling that light ever again. She pushed herself to her desk, setting her fingers against the keyboard, ready to spread her thoughts into action. Lists, goals, contacts. She sketched a framework for what they could do together. But each time she tried to form a sentence, doubts sank their claws into her resolve. What was she supposed to do about connections she didn't have, or knowledge she lacked? The more she thought, the more the fear crept in. She remembered the days when David was part of their neighborhood, the warmth he brought with his smile. Now, he was a stranger with an agenda. Marisol, are you all right? Her mother's voice cut through the fog of her thoughts. Marisol turned in her chair to face her mom. Maria was standing in the doorway, looking small and weary. You look lost in thought. I was just planning, Marisol replied, forcing a smile. Planning what? It was typical of her mother to take interest, even when she was tired. The meeting with David. He wants my input on a project, but she hesitated, unsure whether she should spill her doubts. I don't know if I can really help him. Maria stepped into the room, resting a gentle hand on Marisol's shoulder. You know, he believes in you. That has to count for something. Marisol swallowed hard. Her mother blinking back fatigue, yet still managing to express faith, made her heart ache. But what if I fail? Then you try again. You teach yourself what you need to know. Maybe he's not just looking for insights, maybe he's looking for you. Maria's voice softened. You have more strength than you realize. A flicker of determination ignited inside Marisol. On the surface, she felt like an inexperienced novice. But wouldn't it be worth something to dare to dream? To fight for her family's legacy and build something bigger than both of them? Okay, I'll do it, she declared, her voice steadying. She could envision herself sitting across from David with her head held high. The anxiety lingered, but she pushed it aside like wind scattering leaves. Good. And don't hesitate to ask for help, Maria added with a proud smile that warmed Marisol's heart. Even with newfound resolve, an unsettling feeling lingered, coiling in her gut. It wasn't just the upcoming meeting that troubled her. There was something deeper, rustling just beneath the surface. Later that afternoon, while scrolling through social media to calm her nerves, she saw a post tagged with David's name. It was a photo taken at a gala, David smiling broadly next to an older man. The caption read, "Excited to partner with Sterling Enterprises on our new project. Here's to new beginnings." Marisol squinted at the name, a flash of recognition striking her like lightning. Sterling Enterprises was a massive company, known for cutting-edge developments. Fear gripped her hard as questions swirled in her mind. Was David just another opportunist? Would he truly care about her community, or was he simply angling for profit? With her pulse quickening, she noticed the comments below the post, many congratulatory but some skeptical. Her mind raced. Could David's project be just another attempt to gentrify the area? Would he forget the little people when big money was involved? Turning away from the screen, she felt the weight of choices pressing down. Now, she needed to prepare not just to support her mother, but also to keep an eye out for her entire community. This wasn't just about her family anymore. It was about facing the unknown and standing up for what was right. Marisol stared into the gathering twilight. This project could either lift her family from despair or pull them deeper into uncertainty. She would have to tread carefully, relying on intuition as much as planning. The echo of her heartbeat resonated against her ribs. Slowly, a newfound clarity settled in her mind. She needed to be firm and ask the tough questions. When she met David, she would push for transparency. She had to trust her instincts and use her voice. No matter how uncertain she felt, as evening crept in, the storm clouds gathered again, both outside and inside her heart. Was she prepared for what lay ahead? The answer remained shrouded in fog, leaving her with one tantalizing thought. What if the greatest threat wasn't David's intentions, but her own fear of taking a stand? The next morning, Marisol woke earlier than usual. The sun had barely crested the horizon, casting a soft glow that painted her room in hues of gold. She remained in bed, staring at the ceiling, wrestling with the whirlwind of thoughts. Today was the day she'd finally meet David and face the tangled web of emotions, fears, and expectations. After a quick breakfast, she slipped into her favorite blue blouse, the one that made her feel somewhat invincible. It was one of those days where her appearance mattered. She wanted to project confidence. Standing in front of the mirror, she repeated her mantra silently. I can do this. I will do this. As she headed down the street, the familiarity of the neighborhood surrounded her. The light drizzle made the air crisp, enlivening her senses. She inhaled deeply, but then, doubt swept over her like a chilling wave. What if today didn't go as planned? The coffee shop where she was to meet David was bustling with early morning patrons. The aroma of brewing coffee and freshly made pastries drifted through the air, momentarily distracting her from the impending discussion. Taking a deep breath, she squared her shoulders and stepped inside, scanning for David. There he was, seated at a small table, engrossed in his laptop. A faint smile crept onto her face as memories of their childhood, a time when everything felt uncomplicated, flooded her mind. But lingering beneath was the discomfort of his newfound wealth and ambitions. Marisol. David looked up, his face brightening instantly. You made it. Of course. Sorry I'm a little early, she trailed off, pulling out the chair across from him. He waved away her apology. I'm just glad you're here. As they settled, Marisol could feel the weight of the moment. Words bubbled inside her, each fighting to emerge. She had so much to say, but where to start? Did you see the post about the project? She ventured, trying to gauge his intentions. I did. It's exciting, huge potential for the community, he replied, enthusiasm dancing in his eyes. Yeah, potential, she echoed, each syllable laced with uncertainty. But there are a lot of concerns. People are worried about what Sterling Enterprises might do. David's brow furrowed. I get that. I really do. Change can be hard for many, but I think we have a unique opportunity to bring improvement while respecting the history here. Marisol's heart raced at his words. Could he really mean that? How do you plan to ensure that? What safety nets are there for the residents? He leaned back, considering her question seriously. Transparency is key. I want your voice in this. You know the community better than anyone. Your input can make a genuine difference. The sincerity behind his words caught her off guard. She wanted to push past her doubts, to unlock this collaboration, but there was a nagging voice in her head. And if it starts to lean towards profit over people? He met her gaze, determination burning in his eyes. I won't let that happen. You have my word, Marisol. A flurry of emotions crashed over her, hope and skepticism clashing like waves against jagged rocks. Could she trust that promise? The conversation shifted to specifics about the project. Ideas flowed between them like electricity, igniting a passion within her she hadn't felt in years. But with every new thought came a rising sense of urgency. Marisol, David interrupted her whirlwind. Whatever plan we put in place, I need you to know that it's built on a foundation of community. I want to see people thrive, not just profit. You must hold me accountable, okay? A small smile crept across her lips, a flicker of warmth igniting the room. Maybe there was potential after all. As their discussion deepened, Marisol felt the boundary between them dissolve, replaced by common goals and shared values. She could hardly believe how easy it was to work together. But then, without warning, a shadow fell over her heart. What if David genuinely cared for the community, but was swallowed whole by the machine of big enterprises? Would her voice be strong enough to steer it the right way? Or would she find herself drowned in the weight of expectations? Leaving the coffee shop, the air felt heavier than before. Both excitement and apprehension surrounded her. Did she even have enough strength to carry her community's hopes alongside her own? Looking up at the now gloomy sky, she thought about the choices before her. She had to dig deeper, push even harder. The stakes had never felt higher, and it was time to truly embrace the challenge. That night, as the rain pattered softly against her window, sleep eluded her. All she could do was replay the day in her mind, and then came the nagging thought. Would the chance to unite her community be a triumph, or would it tear them apart instead? Dawn broke slowly, the rain having washed the world anew. Marisol woke with a mix of hope and dread swirling in her chest. Today's meeting with community leaders loomed large. Would they rally behind her vision or dismiss it as yet another empty promise from outsiders? She splashed cold water on her face, staring at the reflection that looked back with determination painted across her features. She had dressed in her best planner ensemble, a smart blazer and practical shoes. This was her armor for battle, ready to defend her community against potential missteps. Walking to the community center, she recalled David's words. His passion sparked something in her, but the uncertainties remained heavy. Would trust be enough to guide them through this? Could she be the voice the people needed to echo their concerns? The familiar sights of the neighborhood draped in the soft light of dawn cheered her. Children played on porches and neighbors exchanged morning greetings, reminding her of why she was fighting. This was home.as she entered the community center. The air buzzed with voices. Leaders were mingling, sipping coffee, and flipping through files. Marisol spotted Maria, the community activist she deeply respected. Maria waved her over. Marisol, you look prepared. How did it go with David? Maria asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Marisol pushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. He has some ideas that I think could really help, but I'm still worried. He's from Sterling Enterprises, you know? Maria nodded, her expression serious. Trust is earned, not given. What do you need from us? Marisol took a deep breath, grateful for Maria's presence. We need to voice our concerns. Today, we can present a united front. If we want transparency, we'll have to set the tone now. The room grew quieter as the meeting began. Local leaders took turns addressing the group, raising issues that echoed Marisol's thoughts. Each voice, calm yet firm, urged the need for clarity and accountability in dealings with Sterling Enterprises. Marisol stood to speak. She felt the weight of every gaze upon her. Thank you all for being here. Today, we have the chance to shape our community's future. But it must start with our voice and ensure that our needs come first. Her voice quivered slightly, but she pressed on. David claims he values our perspectives. Let us hold him accountable and ensure we're not left behind. We deserve more than mere promises. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Encouragement filled the air as Marisol's words sparked something in her neighbors. They nodded, exuding a collective strength that pulled her forward. Just as she began to feel momentum, a familiar face emerged from the back of the room. David. He stood tall, his presence commanding attention. Marisol, I appreciate your words, and I'm grateful for your passion. I'm here today to listen. Let us talk about specific concerns. Together. A hush fell over the group as eyes darted between Marisol and David. Her heart thudded. This was it. Would they accept the olive branch or pull it from flames? One of the elders spoke up, raising her voice. We want to hear your plan, David. But our history can't be bulldozed over for profit. Do you promise to put our needs first? Marisol felt everyone's gaze on her, the hope and apprehension mingling in the air like storm clouds overhead. They were putting everything on the line, risking hope for transparency. David nodded earnestly, locking eyes with Marisol. Yes, our project will be a partnership. I need your guidance, everyone's guidance. But I can do this only if you stand with me. As murmurs swept through the gathering, Marisol's breath hitched. Could they forge this path together? In that moment, a flicker of light pierced through her doubts. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the start of something transformative. Yet the weight of what lay ahead felt overwhelming. With a heart full of uncertainty, she replied, "Then let us begin this dialogue today, together." As discussions transitioned into action plans, a new hope filled the air. But lurking in the back of her mind was the biggest question: how would they navigate the road ahead while keeping unity intact? Just then, a loud crash echoed from outside, drawing everyone's attention. An unexpected commotion erupted, sending a ripple of concern through the room. What could possibly be happening now? The crash outside was followed by a flurry of voices. Marisol's heart raced as she hurried to the windows. Her mind flickered with worry, wondering if it was a sign of trouble. Had something gone wrong with the project they were just starting to discuss? With hands trembling slightly, she pulled back the curtain. Outside, chaos reigned. A truck had overturned, scattering produce across the street. It was a local vendor, Mr. Ortega, whose fruits and vegetables always brought color to the community. People rushed to help, lifting the truck and gathering the fallen goods. David stepped beside her, concern etched on his face. "Let us see if we can help," he said, his tone serious. Marisol nodded, urgency pushing her forward. They rushed through the door and joined the crowd. As they approached, Marisol spotted Mr. Ortega, his forehead glistening with sweat, a look of despair crossing his features. "I'm ruined," he shouted, panic seeping into his voice. Marisol could feel the collective anxiety of the community. This wasn't just an overturned truck. It was livelihoods and hopes being crushed under the weight of circumstance. "Mr. Ortega," she called, rushing to his side. "We can help. Let us get this cleaned up." Her voice rang with conviction, cutting through the shouts and cries. He glanced up, surprise flickering in his eyes. Marisol could see a glimmer of hope spark in him as the community rallied around. "But there is so much to do," he muttered, looking defeated. "Together, we can make it happen," she urged, her voice steady. In that moment, Marisol stepped into a leadership role she never knew she could fill. It was about more than just words. It was about action, about lifting each other up when the weight felt too heavy to bear alone. They began to spread out, picking up the fallen produce, sorting intact fruits from the wreckage. David joined Marisol, quickly engaging with others. He organized a plan to box the salvaged goods, intent on salvaging what they could and distributing it to those in need. The community buzzed with a newfound energy together. They could overcome this setback just like any other challenge. Laughter intermingled with shouts of encouragement as they worked shoulder to shoulder. It felt like a victory in itself, a reminder of their resilience. The truck was righted and the damages assessed. Mr. Ortega looked around, bewildered. "Thank you, all of you. I didn't know if I would recover from this." His voice cracked with emotion. Marisol smiled at him, feeling warmth swell in her chest. "You're part of our community, and we look out for each other." Her gaze shifted to David, who was now discussing plans with other leaders while helping distribute the salvaged produce. Just when the mood began to stabilize, a sleek car pulled up, cutting through the hum of gratitude. The sound of heels on the pavement drew attention. It was Clara Thornton, the owner of Sterling Enterprises, her expression unreadable. She emerged, surveying the scene with a frown. "What is going on here?" she demanded, her voice sharp as glass. Marisol's heart sank. They had put so much on the line, and here was someone who could wipe the slate clean with just one call. Would Clara see the strength in the community they were building, or would she decide this was just another failure waiting to happen? As Clara crossed her arms, her gaze fixed on Marisol, a different kind of tension filled the air. What would she decide, help or hinder? Strangely, the feeling of weightlessness took hold for a moment. Would this be a turning point, or a point of no return? And in that silence, a promise hung heavy. Marisol would not back down. She would speak her truth and fight for her community. But how would that decision impact everything they had just built? Marisol took a deep breath, steadying herself as Clara's gaze bore down on her. The atmosphere crackled with tension. She could see the community sharing nervous glances, and it made her stomach churn. This was a moment that felt so big, yet so fragile. "Clara," Marisol began, her voice rising above the murmurs. "Mr. Ortega's truck flipped over, and we're just trying to help." She gestured towards the overturned vehicle, the scattered produce, and the faces of people who didn't know what would happen next. "We're salvaging what we can." Clara's brow furrowed. "And what good does that do?" she asked, her tone icy. "You think putting a few tomatoes back in crates makes this situation any less of a disaster?" A mix of anger and desperation surged within Marisol. She would not let Clara belittle their efforts. "This is about more than tomatoes. It's about community. We rally when things get hard. That's what we do." She pointed towards the crowd, now buzzing with intent. "Look at them. They believe we can make a difference together." Clara's lips twitched, almost a flicker of surprise at the fire in Marisol's words. But her skepticism remained. "You think emotional displays will save this failed vendor? People want results, not warm feelings." Marisol took another breath, suppressing the anger and choosing instead to show Clara. "It starts here," she said softly, "by showing up for one another." As if triggered by her words, the crowd began chanting Mr. Ortega's name, their cheers slicing through the tension between them and Clara. Marisol turned to them, the energy flooding into her, filling the void of uncertainty. She felt the strength of each person's hope and love behind her. Whatever Clara's opinion, this was where real change began. "I don't know what else you expect," Clara replied, arms crossed tightly, a sign of her stubbornness. "However, if you want to prove something, show me results. Prove that this community can sustain itself without constant support from wealthy investors like me. Only then can we explore a partnership for your project." Marisol's heart raced. Partnership? Was that what they were really talking about? "You'd actually consider it? If we prove ourselves?" She stuttered, a sliver of hope creeping in. But before Clara could answer, a child squealed excitedly from the crowd. "Look, there's still more." The child's voice carried over the noise as they pointed to the side of the truck where more produce lay scattered but partially intact. "Everyone," David shouted, rallying the community's energy. "Let us get those fruits together. We need to save every bit we can." Marisol's hope surged as the group rushed to collect the remaining produce, pushing towards a common goal. She felt Clara's eyes on her, the million-dollar question hanging unspoken between them. Could they truly make something out of this? Could their unity convince Clara? But what about Clara's hidden agenda? Did she genuinely want to see them succeed? Or was this just a prying tactic under the guise of exploration? As the effort intensified, Marisol felt a sense of determination. She might not have all the answers, but she would give everything she had to protect her community. This was only the beginning of something monumental. Just as they started gathering momentum, a loud crash rang out again, different from before. Everyone froze. A shadow loomed over the crowd, a white delivery truck, its side dented, skidding around the fallen crates, headed right for them. "Look out!" someone cried. Time felt suspended as Marisol turned. Instinct kicked in, her heart pounding, ready to fight for her community and everything they stood for. But would she be able to save them in time? Marisol barely had a moment to react. The white delivery truck barreled toward the crowd, its tires screeching loudly against the asphalt. Panic surged through her veins, igniting every instinct. She saw the children and parents scatter, fear painting their faces. "No, we have to help," she screamed, pushing forward, but her voice was lost in the chaos. Heart hammering, she scanned the scene and spotted David, who was shielding a young girl behind a crate. She didn't hesitate and sprinted towards them, muscles tight with urgency. "Get back!" she shouted just as the truck slid closer, sending shards of glass and debris flying. Time stretched painfully, and in that fleeting moment, everything felt surreal. She focused on David's shocked expression as the truck veered, almost as if in slow motion. With one swift motion, Marisol dove toward them, instinctively knocking David and the girl to the side as she made contact with the ground. They landed hard, rolling just in time as the truck careened past them. The world around them erupted in noise, a cacophony of shouts, horn blasts, and the crushing impact of metal against concrete. Marisol scrambled to her feet, breathless and disoriented. She looked back to see Clara standing frozen, vulnerability exceptionally clear on her normally composed face, witnessing the frightening aftermath unfold. The truck had skidded to a halt, mere inches from where Marisol had stood just moments before. "Is everyone okay?" she called out, panic twisting her gut as she surveyed the crowd. The murmurs started up again, a mixture of fear and relief washing over them as people began checking on one another. The little girl she had saved was crying, but David immediately took charge, comforting her. "You're safe now. You're safe," he repeated, soothingly. Marisol felt a rush of adrenaline still pulsing in her veins as she turned back toward the truck. A man climbed out of the driver's side, his face pale. He looked around, dazed, clearly processing what had just happened. Marisol felt a wave of empathy for him despite her anger at the reckless driving. "Are you okay?" she shouted, her voice cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. The driver nodded but remained quiet, shaken, no doubt feeling the weight of what could have been. Clara, still rooted in place, finally stepped forward. "Why didn't you slow down?" she asked, her tone sharper than the moment called for. Marisol quickly interjected. "He probably didn't see. This is a mess. We need to get things sorted." She couldn't afford to dwell on blame. The urgency of the moment shifted her focus back to the community. "Let us help him," Marisol said, rallying the crowd. "There's still more to save." The collective effort of the produce and the truck created a feisty determination among them. As they worked together once more, Clara's presence shifted subtly. Marisol couldn't ignore the fact that Clara had witnessed her bravery, the raw heart that surged through her as she had acted without thinking. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance for that partnership. Moments later, after they had done their best to salvage as much as they could, Clara stepped closer to Marisol. "You saved lives today," she said, her voice low, resonating with an unexpected admiration. The crowd buzzed around them, woven tightly in community spirit. They had come together, proving to Clara that there was strength in unity. But as Clara turned to reflect on the work ahead, Marisol felt a knot in her stomach. Was this truly just the beginning? How much more would they need to prove? Just then, the driver spoke up, the heaviness of his burden clear in his voice. "I can help. I may have just messed up," but he hesitated. "If it can help the community, I can get more supplies, loans, anything you need." Hope flared once more within Marisol. What was this new twist? Would they truly have the support they needed to transform this struggle into something greater? Before she could ask for clarity, Clara stepped closer to the driver. Her eyes glinted with a mixture of determination and resolve. "Let us talk," she said, her voice ringing strong. Could this twist finally bridge a partnership, or would it only deepen the divide even further? Marisol felt a swell of emotions crash against her resolve as they moved towards the next chapter of their story. The air was thick with tension as Clara and the driver moved aside, discussing something in urgent whispers. Marisol watched them, her heart racing. It felt a little surreal how things could shift so quickly. Just moments before, chaos had ruled, and now hope floated through the air like the scent of fresh spring grass on a warm afternoon. David had managed to calm the little girl, her tiny shoulders still shaking from the shock. He caught Marisol's eye, his expression a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "You were amazing back there," he said, stepping closer, as the crowd began to disperse, their adrenaline still buzzing. Marisol shrugged, trying to suppress the swell of pride. "I just acted. Anyone would have done the same," she replied, though she felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. But deep down, she knew she had jumped in without thinking. And what if it hadn't worked out? What if she had put herself in too much danger? Feeling the gravity of her own emotions, she looked back toward Clara and the driver. They were still deep in conversation, and Clara appeared to be nodding earnestly. Marisol envied Clara's ability to step into the fray with such confidence. She underestimated how much it took to forge trust in someone who had just made such a reckless mistake. "I can't believe he's willing to help us," David said, drawing her thoughts back into the present. "We could really use those supplies." "Yeah, but can we trust him?" Marisol murmured, the nagging doubt creeping back in. What if this is just a way for him to feel better about what happened? David didn't answer right away, lost in thought. "Sometimes people make mistakes. It's what they do afterward that counts," he finally said. His gentle gaze met hers, unwavering. Before Marisol could respond, Clara beckoned them over. The driver introduced himself as Frank, his voice still shaky but edging toward a sense of determination. "I've got a few contacts," he explained. "I can get trucks of fruit and vegetables to your community center by tomorrow. We can host a food drive, something that will bring everyone together." Marisol felt the flutter of hope in her chest once more. "You'd really do that?" "Yes, absolutely. I'm so sorry for what happened today. I never meant to put anyone in danger." His sincerity struck her as genuine. But could they really take the leap of faith? Or was their vulnerability clouding judgment? Clara stepped forward, her energy infectious as she smiled. "Let us schedule a meeting and share a plan. We can't waste any time." Marisol caught David's eye as he grinned back, excitement bubbling underneath their shared worries. "All right, let us get to work," he said, cracking his knuckles. "We can make this happen, together." Yet as they set out to draft a plan, a new apprehension sneaked in. Marisol couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much larger. Yes, they had a chance to turn this tragedy into an opportunity, but what would happen when the tides shifted again? While they mapped out supplies, a dark thought hovered in the corners of Marisol's mind. What if Frank had ulterior motives? What if this act of goodwill concealed a deeper self-interest? As they shared determination under the sizzling sun, an unexpected voice cut through the air. One of the onlookers, an older woman with stern lines carving her face, stepped forward. "And what happens when you find your trust blown apart? What then?" Marisol froze, heart thrumming. Was this what they risked by putting their faith in a stranger? The question echoed in her mind, leaving her uneasy as she stole a glance at Clara. How fragile their hope felt, teetering on the promises of uncertain allies. Standing there, surrounded by supporters in doubt, Marisol's resolve intensified. "We have to believe in a better future. Otherwise, what have we got?" But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the asphalt, she wondered if her belief was grounded in courage or simply naivete. The answer might define not just their community's fate, but hers as well. Would the next twist be their salvation, or would it lead to their downfall? The sun rose brighter than ever over the community center, casting a warm glow that seemed to promise a brighter future. Marisol stood at the front of the room, her heart pounding as familiar faces gathered to discuss the aftermath of the storm and the overturned truck. Today, they would outline their community food drive a first step, not just to recover, but to stand together against the challenges they faced. David sat to her left, a supportive presence as they prepared to share their vision. Frank had come as promised, his commitments drawing hope from the crowd, yet Marisol couldn't shake the uncertainty that clung to her. Her instincts buzzed with caution, but she forced herself to believe in the potential of shared purpose. She cleared her throat, addressing the group. "We're here today to move forward. We've faced setbacks, but we have each other, and that matters." Her voice grew steadier as her confidence swelled. "Frank has offered to help us organize a food drive this weekend. This is ours. You all are the heart of this community, and we can bring about real change." The crowd murmured with energy, leaning forward in their seats, eyes brightening with anticipation. A steady pulse of excitement coursed through the room, igniting her spirit. Maria, her confidant and a community activist, raised her hand, a determined smile on her face. "Marisol, what if we create a plan to invite local businesses to contribute? We can ensure this is a full-fledged community effort." "Great idea," Marisol exclaimed, enthusiasm radiating off her. One by one, fingers pointed toward other ideas, brainstorming their way to something bigger than she had imagined. Every voice chimed, passions weaving together. David took notes, fueling the discussions, while Frank engaged with members, expressing his eagerness to support. As plans solidified, a powerful realization washed over Marisol. The strength of their unity could trump any skepticism surrounding new partnerships. This food drive was a symbol. It wasn't just about supplies. It became a beacon of hope. They were embodying resilience, an unwavering conviction that they could shape their fates together. In the background, Clara observed quietly, her initial skepticism melting away. "I underestimated the resolve of this community," Marisol overheard her say to David. "I see the fire in their voices, and it's inspiring." With renewed energy, Marisol took a deep breath, her worries peeling away, even if just for a moment. There was something magical brewing in their collaboration, a transformative potential forming within the very air surrounding them. She could feel it, a heartbeat shared amongst everyone in the room. As the day progressed, they secured donations from local establishments, shaping their vision into a reality. Marisol became a captain of change, her earlier doubts dispersing like fog. Her mother, watching from the sidelines, beamed with pride, her weary face lighting up with newfound hope. For the first time in a long while, they felt the unyielding power of community rallying behind them. It surged through the very foundation of their dreams. The food drive arrived with a vibrant energy. Banners adorned the streets. Lively music resonated as laughter mingled with anticipation. Local families arrived, some with donations, others eager to contribute their time. Amidst the bustling scene, there was Frank setting up tables with fresh produce, engaging with children, and sharing stories of redemption. The warmth of camaraderie radiated outward, transforming simple interactions into lasting friendships. In that moment, as Marisol watched her community come together, she understood that every scrap of anxiety had been worthwhile. They didn't just survive. They thrived, doing it together. That evening, under string lights twinkling like stars, she stood alongside David, surveying what they had built. "We did this," he said, awe and admiration filling his voice. "You led with your heart." Marisol felt a swell of warmth. "We did it together," she corrected with a smile. "No one can do this alone." As the festivities continued into the night, Clara approached, her expression softened. "Marisol," she called, and Marisol turned. "I realized I was wrong to doubt. You have true leadership and passion. I'd like to support your vision moving forward, but we'll do it together on equal ground." With Clara offering her support and Frank proactively keeping his commitments, Marisol felt hope bloom. The storm had driven them all into a new beginning. They were a community forged in resilience, ready to rewrite their narrative, standing together beneath a canopy of twinkling lights. Marisol glanced around at the faces glowing with joy, her mother dancing with neighbors, children laughing, friends embracing. She finally understood. The future was bright not because it was free of storms, but because they had learned to weather them together. With love and commitment, anything was possible, and for the first time, Marisol felt the anxiety lift away entirely. She turned to the group, raising her voice above the din. "Let us keep growing. Let us evolve together. This is just the start." The crowd erupted with joy, and in that exhilarating moment, the bright stars above seemed to pulse along with them, echoing a universal truth. When one stands together against the storm, the heart of community becomes unstoppable. Remember, this is a moment to celebrate unity, and you need to subscribe now to keep up with our exclusive stories that inspire. Don't wait not even one more second. Leave a like to feed the algorithm that helps us grow. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this journey, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who desperately need to see this transformation. Your support means everything.